Big up, everybody. It's your girl, Sophie Solve, back here on Sofia's Football Talk to discuss the Brighton versus Man United game, but also some Man United transfer news, of course, as we always do. But this time with a special guest, we got Triple M in the building, aka Marcus. How are you? Are you good, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a long day, but I'm pretty good. Hope everybody in chat is good as well as yourself.
Yes, big up, big up. People, make sure you do subscribe to Marcus. His channel link is in the title, but also in the description box. So show him some love. And big up to Dark Crow, by the way. Feel free, of course, the rest of y'all to comment as we go along. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to this channel as we are very close to 3K subscribers. We're less than, or basically 50 subscribers away. So help a sister out. And feel free to join the SFT membership and also my FBL League, as one of you guys will have the chance to win a kit of your choice. We will be doing kind of like an FBL recap tomorrow. So make sure that you have the notification bell button on. But let's talk about Man United. So before we talk about the preview, we got some news that we do need to address. I don't know if you saw this, Marcus, but we signed a new, 2006 born Mali international today.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really know much
Yeah.
about him, to be honest, but I did see that,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are buzzing about him. Seems to be a very talented young player. But yeah, it's one of those signings that I don't really know how to feel until I see him play, if he ever does play.
No, I feel the same way. I have no idea who this kid is. Believe Seko Kone from Garders FC. He's been
Yeah,
on the list of several clubs, but United have agreed a deal today. Considered, like you said, a top talent. He's part of more so the long-term plan, similar to the Chido Obi Martin that
yeah,
we also made a few weeks ago. And it's quite interesting because we also now have sold what seems to be two academy prospects in Maxi Oyedele to Legia Warsaw. He's half Polish, so I see it, but I don't know about you. Obviously, we've seen him more so in the preseason games, but I wouldn't have mind kept him maybe for one more season, maybe go on a loan here and there, but permanently, I don't know. What do you reckon? What's your thought about us selling him?
yeah. It's a tough one, but honestly, I feel it's always interesting with young players because it's all potential, right? And for me personally, I feel like unless we're talking about Ahmad and the likes of Kobe Mainu, there is no strong case for a lot of these young players to have a pathway to the first team. So I get the outrage from people. Believe me, I do get it because Palestri is a player that I liked as well, and to see him go kind of hurt a little bit because I liked Palestri a lot. But if we're being honest, man, it's not like these players were close to getting into the first team. Especially when you consider how long it took someone like Amad Diallo to start, and we all know how talented he is. So I don't know. I think sometimes as fans we just love making a fuss out of nothing, really, to be honest. It's one of those things where we just, I don't know, I don't think it's as big as people are making out. And also I feel like, I'm not sure about Oyedel, but I believe the other young player that we let go earlier today, there is a pretty big sell-on clause involved in that deal as well. So it's good business, at least financially, for Manchester United,
Yes.
and something I reckon is a sign of change at the club, hopefully.
No, you're right. Will Fish, Cardiff, as you mentioned here,
Yeah,
as I see in my notes, very significant sell-on clause. So that is a good thing instead of us just selling them for, you know, cheap penny and then not getting anything in return in the future. Because okay, let's say we now sold them, but let's say they end up doing very well in the future and they go to other bigger clubs in regards to the
yeah,
club that they're going to now, and then we might get like a big cut of that, you know, transfer. So that might not
yeah.
necessarily be a bad thing, I think.
Yeah, no,
So I hear
exactly. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't keep them all. We can't keep them all. Some of the young talents that we like are going to have to go. I mean, the one that always comes to mind is Angel Gomez. I never wanted Angel Gomez to leave, but that's the
Mhm.
decision of the club. It still hurts to this day. Hannibal was another one that I liked. That one might be a little bit more controversial because a lot of people don't think he's good enough. But
Mm.
it is what it is with young players. They're almost like lone players in football. You can't get too attached to them because the likelihood of them actually staying permanently is next to none, really, at a club like United, anyways.
True. I mean, we've had, we're very known for our academy, of course, and we do get some young gems every now and then that do tend to prosper, but then there's also the rest that just respectfully they will not make it. And sometimes it's okay. It's
Yeah,
just about, I play for Man United, whether it be I made a debut, had one game or just a few games, at least you get to have that in your CV. Go prosper somewhere else. I don't think that's
yeah,
anything wrong with. We also have a Vitek, the goalkeeper, who looks to be going alone, joining Bloveslins. I don't know what that team is, but regardless, goes on loan. Big up to him. We'll see what happens. But yes, also there are moves happening, and of course, also, like you mentioned with Hannibal, you'd be more of a fan of him. I used to be, but I think now I've just been like, I like some aspects of a Hannibal, but I just don't think he's what we should be, you know, kind of moving up the pecking order. I,
yeah,
I, I don't
yeah.
see that happening. That's just me, though.
No,
You
I,
know.
I get it. I get it. I'm trying to think of the left back's name that we let go to Benfica recently. I don't know why I forgot his name.
Oh,
Um,
Alvaro
who was it?
Fernandez.
Yeah, Alvaro Fernandez. That was another player that I really liked. But
Me
my
too.
opinion of him, I must qualify that opinion by saying I'd only seen him in preseason. So to be fair, I'm not like mad that the club sold him or anything. But it was a little upsetting, when I saw the news and I was like, oh, that's a shame. I would have liked to see him get a chance. But I'm not like outraged by it, because I'm not going to pretend to be somebody who watches the academy every week and knows these young players in and out. At the end of the day, like you're saying, we do need to keep up the levels, and unfortunately, that means letting go of some fan favorites and
Hmm.
letting only the best of the best come through to the first team.
Spot on, 100%. Big up, by the way, to those who are joining us, String, Emil, Twalumba, and Abdullah. Abdullah, this one, though. Just in Juventus have moved for Jadon Sancho today and are in negotiations with Man United, reported by RMC Sport. I mean, I don't know how credible this is, but to be fair though, I always felt like for the longest time that we we heard it even before Ten Hag and Sancho kind of you know worked out their issues. We were hearing that Juventus was interested, but then it kind of cooled down, and now suddenly here we are. Do you think that
Yeah,
Sancho will be leaving, whether it'll be to a Juve or to another club? Do you think that by the end of this window, he will no longer be a Man United player?
I think so.
Thoughts?
I think just
Mhm.
based off the fact that he wasn't in the squad despite playing most preseason games for the game against Fulham is a sign. Maybe he did genuinely have an ear infection, but I don't know. It seems a bit convenient. And it
Yeah.
just seems like there's a lot of noise around Sancho leaving at the moment. So it's not something I want. I would love us to keep Sancho because I think he's a really talented player. I acknowledge that he hasn't had the best career at United and he hasn't really ripped up any trees. But I think a lot of that is down to the system. A lot of that is down to players around him and some of his own, poor performances. To be fair, he's got to take accountability. But point is, I still think there's a player in there, and maybe I'm wrong, but it's just my opinion. So I don't want to see him leave, but I think he's definitely a goner. And to be fair, if you're Ineos and you're looking at that squad and you're looking at players that you potentially want to keep in those forward positions, you've now got Zirkzee, you've got Hoyland. They're not going anywhere because they're effectively new signings. Then you've got the likes of Ganacho and Ahmed who've come through the academy and are good enough to start or at least provide competition for places. So they're
Hmm.
not going anywhere. You're left with Rashford and Sancho, and obviously the manager favors Rashford a lot more. Rashford probably has a better rapport with the fan base as well. came to the academy, Mank born and bred, all of that stuff. He's done a lot more for the club as well, to be fair, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
individual performances. So just by process of elimination, putting my emotions aside, it has to be Sancho who leaves as far as the forwards are concerned. And couple that with the fact that he has high wages, right? Everything I just said, plus the fact that he's
Yep.
on high wages, Ineos are probably looking at it as a business decision, saying, actually, nothing
Mm-hmm.
personal, mate. We've got to let this guy go because, the manager doesn't like him anyways. So it just makes sense. And as much as I'm a big fan of Sancho, I've prepared myself, emotionally for his departure because I feel like he's a goner. If I'm being
Yeah.
completely honest,
No,
you know.
I second all of what you said. I agree with you. I would have no issue if he stays. If he stays, great. If he
Yeah,
goes, I'll be a bit bummed out, but it is what it is. I wish him nothing but the best. No hard feelings, and I hope he prospers. As long as it's not at another rival club in the league, because that would hurt me. That would hurt me. But
yeah,
I mean, if he goes to Juve, I don't really like Juve at all. But regardless, go prosper. Go
yeah.
spread your wings. It's
I mean, if
just
if you went to if
go
you
ahead.
went to another Premier League club, that would be a deep cut. That would be that
Yes,
would hurt. Yeah,
it would really hurt, but I think that right now it looks to be that he would be leaving. Like you said, not being in the, not even being in the squad. Yes, okay, we were hearing thoughts about ear infection. That might be true potentially, but it just felt a little bit like you mentioned, convenient, a bit too. hmm. And now I don't know if you saw Ten Hag's press conference. I at least read some quotes. I just felt like I don't know. They might have salted, but it still might be a little salt. It might be a little
yeah,
pettiness still there. I don't think he's gonna
yeah.
be
I mean,
crying. That's all I'm gonna say. You know?
yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, I
No,
I
go ahead.
just I feel like with Ten Hag's press conferences, especially when he starts talking about players, it's very difficult for me to take him seriously, and it's also very difficult for me to read between the lines because I never know when he's being genuine versus when he's just saying it for the sake of it. Like I
Yeah.
was convinced that he was gonna stand by Harry Maguire, and then look what happened in his first season. Stripped him of the captaincy. He stood by Ronaldo publicly and then did the complete opposite, in terms of like actual team selections and behind closed
Mm-hmm.
doors. He's done that with
Mm-hmm.
a number of players where publicly he's backed them, even with Sancho, actually, supposedly sent him to the mountains to get his head right and to train alone. And he was being this great leader, giving him space, only to find out they're not getting along. So it's like, I don't know, man. With Ten Hag, he's what did they used to call him last season? The two-faced assassin. You just you never know what you're gonna get with him. So when it comes
Yeah.
to reading, between the lines of Ten Hag, I really struggle. I'm not gonna lie. So I agree with you. His comments did that there was a lot of salt there. It didn't seem
Right?
like the hatchet between them was genuinely buried.
Mm. It might just be like, okay, we just do it, maybe it seems like it's kumbaya, yada yada yada, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we have to, of course, wait and see. We will keep you updated, people, if we hear anything. But let's maybe move on to the more so in terms of income, is because we are still looking to wrap up the Ugarte deal. It's felt a bit too dragged on. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the same tweets, the same reports from certain journalists, Fabrizio Romano, and other people, but him in particular. Sorry. Um, it just feels like the same recycled news, but just reworded differently. You know,
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
know,
I
wrap
mean,
it up. That's all. Wrap it up. You know.
yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a Manchester United transfer window without a saga. So
True.
it kind of feels, this whole summer I've been surprised by Manchester United with the Euro deal, the Delit deal, the Mazraoui deal, and then the Ogata deal is like, oh, yep, there it is, there it is, back to Manchester United, classic Manchester United. That's what it feels like with Ogata.
Yep.
It's also strange because I don't think Ogata is like, he's very divisive, but at the same time, he's not like a marquee player, right? He's not like a Pogba or Sancho.
Mm-hmm.
He's, he is a good sign. He would be a good signing if we got him. Well, depending on what your opinions are, some people don't like him, to be fair.
I
But I
like him.
think he would be, yeah, I think he'd be a good addition to the team personally. But I don't think he's like this marquee signing. So to have such a long, drawn out saga for a player like him, it is a little bit underwhelming and annoying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not too bothered by it personally because this transfer window has gone so well, not just in terms of the quality of the signings, because that's debatable, but more the speed at which Manchester United have operated with. You know, I think Ineos have earned a bit of trust and time from me just based off what they've done in terms of the backroom changes and also just how they've dealt with transfers. So the Ugarte deal for me, I'm going to give them a bit of grace. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as annoying as it is, I'm just going to let it rest. You know, because as much as I don't like sagas, it is what it is. At least we've had a good window outside of that. And I will say also, if we end up bringing another midfielder, it you know it's they're kind of forgiven for dragging it out.
Yeah, I hear it. The thing is, I just feel like if we can also get another midfielder in, okay, I hear it. But the more I think about it, there were like reports saying, I think some parts of why it's been dragged on is kind of like, Ineos with the whole, obviously, PSG is owned by Qatari people. So
Oh
it
yeah,
might
yeah,
kind of be a little bit of that, yo, we tried to buy Man United, or some of us, our people try to buy Man United.
yeah,
We want to make it a little bit difficult for you guys. We're not trying to make this easy on you. So I think
yeah.
that might be a big part of it. It would make sense for why it's been dragged on, because the player has been very clear. He wants to join
Hmm.
Man United. Personal terms was done
Yeah,
weeks, months. Kalas
yeah,
done. So the only thing is just about the clubs making an agreement. That's it. That's it. You
yeah.
know?
And I really hope we do come to an agreement. Look, Agate is not he's not my ideal midfield signing, but I really,
Mm-hmm.
really, and I know this is going to sound corny to some Manchester United fans and might piss some off,
Huh?
but I really like his personality and the vibe that he gives off. You know, some of the quotes I've seen about him saying that, what was the one about the, in possession it's a game, but out of possession it's war or something like
Yes.
that. And I saw that quote and I was like,
You
damn,
want that
yeah,
type
get
of
this guy to Old
mentality.
Trafford.
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I
So
need people ready for war. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
that's
So I
corny at
hope.
all.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love that type of attitude, and I feel like we need it at Old Trafford. So I hope whatever's happening with the Qatari stuff and all these stories that we're hearing, I hope they're not true. And I hope that, I mean, even if they are true, I hope it doesn't come in between us getting Ugarte, because honestly, he really does bring something that we don't have. I mean, to be fair,
Mm,
he may not be the player that takes us to win titles or to win trophies, but I think he is a player who does raise our floor a little bit. Maybe not in terms of
mm,
technical ability, but in terms of winning back
mhm.
the ball, in terms of helping us press higher up the pitch. That's something we really struggled with last season. So I hear all the people worried about his ball playing ability, but look, you can't have a team full of just technical players. You need a mix of different profiles, and you need somebody to be an enforcer. You need somebody who's going to do the donkey work. And even if that person is not going to start long term, in the short term, you have to kind of concede the fact that you're not going to fix your team in one summer. So you're going to take some L's in certain positions, and this is one of those L's where we're going to say, okay, guys, technically he might not be there, but his physicality and some of the other strengths he brings to the team, his personality traits and some of his leadership qualities that he might bring, that will overshadow in the short term at least the lack of technical ability, and then we'll improve on that, next summer or in the next couple of summers. I think for now, Ogata
Mhm.
is more than good enough. For now,
Yes.
we can revisit this conversation 3 seasons from now
Oh yeah.
when
Oh
Manchester
yeah.
United, are expected to be a serious team.
I know. I agree. Don't get twisted. We still do also need, like you mentioned, we do need to get another midfielder, including, of course, an Ugarte. I don't want it to
Yeah,
just be an Ugarte. I would like it to be another midfielder. Whether or not that'll happen, that's a story for another day, of course. Just wrap the
yeah,
Ugarte deal, make it done, and then we'll see. Big up, by the way, to Eddie. Subscribe to his channel as well. Says good evening, Sofia and Triple M, and all in the chat. For a second, I thought you had Zirkzee on by the look of the thumbnail. Why did Triple M cut his hair?
yeah. It was just time, man. It was just time. I think I cut them some point last year, actually. I almost forgot
Okay.
now. Damn. Yeah, I almost forgot. But yeah, I was very attached to my hair, but I had to let it go eventually.
Hey, I hear it. I hear it.
Yeah.
Big up, Eddie. Herdogarte is a dog that will protect the yard. Get him in. Get him in. Exactly. Big up, Paul. Someone says, "What's with budget cuts at Man United and workers' condition? I'm so disappointed. Ineos are greedy." Did you hear about that?
I didn't. I did not. And to be honest, this is the first I'm hearing it, but so I don't really know what to say, because it's not a good look if this is true.
Yeah, I think it might have something to do with. I mean, I read some of it, but like cutting kind of like something with the cafeteria, with the budget basically in terms of some of the workers
Yeah,
that they feel like
I
okay,
mean,
it might not be as important, you know.
yeah, yeah, I hear it. Honestly, you know what it is with football. I don't like to get involved with like moral debates or moral issues because there is so much in football that is impure and evil that
Mm-hmm.
it kind of ruins the purity of the sport. I mean, not that it has any purity left. So I'm going to be honest and say I tend to avoid these types of stories, because even with Ineos, I mean, they're business people, like they're business people. You can just tell even if you go to Ineos's social media page, it just looks so corporate and so soulless, to a certain extent. Even their posts about their various teams, like they posted one, I think after was it one of the preseason games where they posted like a weekly roundup of how their teams were performing, and you could tell like those graphics were not, they weren't vibrant and colorful. I don't know where I'm going
Mm.
with this, but the point is, I'm trying to say that Ineos, we knew that they were business people, and I'm not surprised to hear stories like this, but at the same time, it's like I'm not going to pretend to be outraged by it because I tend to avoid these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much you can care about in the world.
I hear it. I hear it. I mean, for me, it's not like the biggest thing, but I hear it. I mean, I need to probably do a bit more research in terms of this, but I see your point. I see
Yeah.
your point for sure. 100%. Let's maybe move on a little bit more so actually towards the game. So, obviously, playing Brighton, I mean, they slapped up Everton 3-0 with Ashley
Yeah.
Young getting himself sent off. Classic Ashley Young. Big up to him, but yikes. Um, how do you feel ahead of this game? Do you think it's going to be, you know, a very difficult game? They tend to be one of our bogey teams last few seasons. We tend to really struggle, and it's going to be away.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I'm not I'm not really sure because that Fulham game left me very confused, because I
Mm,
don't like to draw conclusions about how good a team is on in week one, especially with United because there's been so many game weeks where they've sold us dreams. I'll never forget what was it, the 7-0 under Ollie on the opening day against Leeds, Oh, they sold me dreams. Bruno with a hat trick of assists, and I believe it was Pogba with also getting a lot of assists in that game as well. That was just a crazy game. So I want to say I'm confident, but I know I've seen this movie before. And Brighton are a really good team, really dangerous team. The only thing that's giving me hope is that their manager is relatively inexperienced at this level, right? In terms of
mm-hmm,
managing in the top five leagues in Europe. And the fact that they've lost a lot of key players over the last season or two. So they're not the same Brighton. But with that being said, they've still got the likes of João Pedro. They've still got the likes of Mitoma. They've still got Belieber, who didn't even start in that 3-0 demolition. I mean, they had Milner playing in the midfield, and they, completely wiped the floor with Everton. So I don't know,
yeah.
man. I don't know. It could go either way, to be honest. But I honestly, I don't know. I really, really don't know. I feel very neutral going into this game. It's hard to call.
It is hard to call because I also was like, oh, I don't know. I felt like there's some positives to take away from the Fulham game. I felt like sometimes often rival fans, at least from what I've seen on socials, been a bit disingenuous in terms of how we were playing. They kind of, in a lot of ways, were comparing it to other games, such as, for of course, the Wolves, the opening game last season, when, let's be honest, we definitely didn't deserve to win that game. But this game against Fulham, I
Yeah.
100% think we deserved to win that game. It wasn't the most
Yeah.
convincing game, but we did deserve to win. We just, like Tolumba was saying here, um,
Yeah.
we could have scored more, but we didn't. And of course, I mean, excuse it that we didn't play a striker, and I hear that's a fair point. That it might be an excuse and all that, but we did get a striker at the end of the game, and we did score, and we did look better. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's necessarily have to be like a bad excuse, but hey, I do hope that we can get to see Zirkzee getting some more minutes because I don't want him to get like most of him minutes against Liverpool in a week from now. I want him rather getting a lot more minutes in the Brighton game. But what did you think about the debut of a Zirkzee, a Mazraoui, and a Delict as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Mazraoui. I thought he was
Mhm.
excellent. I mean, the more I think about Mazraoui, the more excited I get because I just think what a great piece of business. Even if he had played poorly, what a great piece of business. Because the great thing about signing a player for such a low transfer fee is that if they go on to flop, nobody really cares because it's a low price tag. There's no pressure on the player. And from a business point of view, it's not a big loss. But you spend big money on a player, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of expectation. And even when they are performing well, people are disingenuous about those performances, because people have different expectations based on we can all look at a player with the same price tag and then have completely different expectations of what we expect, but nobody expects a lot from somebody who cost what was it, 15 or 18 million up front, So Mazraoui was excellent, and going on to Delit, I thought he was decent when he came on. I thought Zirkzee was really good. He changed the game when he came on, and the goal that he scored, being involved in the build up and then getting on the end of your own chance is just it's brilliant. So I think Zirkzee will be a really good player for us, and he is somebody that really excites me. As far as the future of United, more than Hoyland, actually. I know people have reservations about whether or not he's a proper nine and all of this, but I ironically think players like Rashford and players like Garnacho will actually benefit a lot from the fact that we signed a Zirkzee instead of an out-and-out nine. Because I'm trying to think of how this plays out, right? If Manchester United blew the budget on a proper nine, whether it was last summer or this summer, let's say we signed Harry Kane, because a lot of people think if we signed Harry Kane, we would be a much better team. I'm just thinking, like, where are the chances coming from if he's starting with Rashford and Garnacho next to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you have someone like Zirkzee, who's not selfish, somebody who's looking to lay off the ball, somebody who isn't really known for his goal scoring, but is known for the other aspects of his game, give and go, feeding other players in, he might actually be better for, the type of wingers we generally start. So I'm really excited for Zirkzee. I thought he was really good against Fulham. And yeah, he's one of the signings that has kind of surprised me. Yes, it's only one game, so he needs to do a lot more. But I don't know what to expect with Zirkzee. I thought, he was just going to be another Hoyland. And that's no disrespect to Hoyland, but I think we can all agree he didn't have the best, first season. So yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm really happy with the business we've done. And again, these aren't players I would have signed. You'll never find a tweet or video of me talking about Zirkzee, Dillit, or Mazraoui. And the fact that they've all come in and Dillit to a certain extent, we still need to see more, but the other two have come in and immediately shocked expectations. That's what I want to see. I want my club to sign players where I'm like, I'm not sure about him, and then they go and drop a beautiful performance on the debut, and I'm like, wow,
Mm.
my club has actually gone out and signed a player that I know next to nothing about, and they've actually shocked me. That's what I want, and long may it continue, man.
Oh, you know what? I might feel the same way. I mean, with the Masarao, I was like, I'm a little bit, I'm unsure, but he had a really good
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
He surprised me, and I'm often like, I don't mind being proven wrong, or surprise me, prove me wrong. It's a great feeling
yeah,
when players come in and they just prove you wrong, and they instantly end up maybe you never know, become fan favorites because right now Masraoui looking good, and long may it
yeah,
continue. 100%. I agree with Zirkzee as well. I mean, I think when he first came in, the few minutes he wasn't really getting the ball. It just okay, but then when he finally did and he scored the goal, which was a very tricky shot to make, but he did it. Then after that, I don't know, he just confident link up play. Oof,
yeah,
1-2 touch football, quick. dropping deep, but
Yeah.
also being able to go a bit for. It was lovely. I really liked it, and hopefully we can just build off of that. And the league as well looked solid when he came. And hey, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I just hope that we can, of course,
Yeah.
make sure we wrap up with Ugarte. If we can get another midfielder in, I don't know about you. If in regards to a left back, do you think that we will be signing a left back, or do you think that
Ooh,
two midfielders
I
would be like the final thing we do?
Yeah, I think two midfielders would probably be the last of our business, and it would be
Hmm.
disappointing. But then again, can I really expect Ineos to sign two centre backs in a summer, two midfielders in a summer, a striker and a left back? That seems like a bit much. Um, but then at the same time, it's like we kind of put ourselves in the situation because we sold Varane, I think, very prematurely. Yes, I know that he had a lot
I
of
agree.
injury issues, and I know that he was definitely a liability in that regard, but nowhere near as much as Luke Shaw. So I would have kept Varane for one more season and addressed the left back position instead of signing two centre backs. But hey, here we are. I don't hate either Delit or Euro. Actually, I like both of them, and I
Mm,
think I'll be able to stomach us not signing a left back if it means those two are going to start regularly and maybe Delo or Mazraoui interchange in that left back position as the season goes along. And we also let go of Wan-Bissaka as well. So this is kind of tricky actually, because that means we've only got two two fullbacks really when you think about it. Lindelof can play there as well from
actually,
time
yeah.
to time, but he's nowhere near as good as the likes
Yeah,
of
he's not.
Mazraoui
And
and Delo.
Lindler is
So
injured as well.
oh yeah, that's
So,
true. So yeah, you see what I mean, man. Varane. I know that Varane. Ironically, Varane got injured on his debut as well
I
with
know.
his new club.
Oh,
So
poor guy.
so technically, if we kept
Yeah.
him, who's to say that he wouldn't be injured right now? So I hear
Mm,
I hear why people wanted Varane to go, but I'm still looking at it thinking like, man, it can't hurt to have kept him. And
yeah.
and our new centre back signing is injured as well in Lenny Euro. So we're just
Yeah.
cursed on that defense. For me, that left back position is just as a bigger worry as the midfield. I think if it wasn't for that left back position in the midfield, I would be very confident going into this Brighton game. But the fact that we haven't signed any new midfielders, we still haven't technically replaced Fred yet. And,
Mm-hmm.
we still haven't signed a backup to Casemiro. We still don't really have somebody to complement Mainu fully and, unlock him, whether it be short term or long term, because, even though Casemiro is a player that I have a lot of respect for and I really like, he's not getting any younger. So it is a worry. It is a big, big worry, that midfield as well as that left back position. And I think, I don't know. It's hard to say which one is the bigger issue because honestly, I didn't realize until I just spoke about the absence of Wan-Bissaka and all these players how skint we are on the fullback positions on both sides really.
That is a very good point when you think about it. And also with Masraoui having, his fair share of injury issues as well.
Yeah,
I just hope,
yeah,
please,
yeah,
no more injuries. I beg, I beg. Licha, stay fit. Delict, please stay fit. The same goes for a Masraoui and, Dallo. Just if we can
yeah.
just have like a solid back line, Onana as well, just solid back line for a long time, please, I beg. That's all. From having so many different types of, you know, partnerships throughout the last season, I just need a little bit of something solid. That's all I'm asking. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think so. But we
Yeah.
have to
I
wait
mean,
and
we've
see.
also got, yeah. I mean, I think we'll see a lot of Maguire on that note actually this season because of the injuries and stuff. And you played well against Fulham, to be fair. Like he's been
He did.
decent
He
he's
actually did.
actually been
Yes.
decent for a while now because I thought Maguire was okay last season.
Mm,
I saw
yeah.
someone call him the best fourth choice centre back in the world, and I just laughed because I was like, yeah, actually, kind of true. He is a really good backup centre back to have at the moment because he's been really reliable. By no means am I saying Maguire is good enough to start long term,
Mm-mm.
but right now there's a lot of players I would get rid of before him just because of the circumstances. So hopefully he can stay fit and continue to contribute in a positive way, so we don't have headaches as United fans if Delit gets injured. We really don't need
Yeah.
that right now. Or if Martinez gets
We
injured,
don't.
we don't need to be looking at Maguire like, having heart palpitations before balls kicked every match day when we see his name.
No, 100%, yes. Who? I mean, I would love to hear your starting 11. Like, what do you think? Okay, what? You know what? Let
Mm.
me rephrase it. What do you want Ten Hag to do? Like, who do you want to see starting?
Um, I think the lineup we played against Fulham was pretty good. So I would
Hmm.
like to see practically the same lineup. The only change I would make is I think I would start Zirkzee. So either Mount, well, actually, not either Mount or Bruno. Mount definitely has to eat bench and find a
Same.
way to fit Zirkzee into that team. And then I would also play De Ligt. Now, again, some people think Maguire played well against Fulham. I am one of them, but I still, like I said, don't think he should be our starting centre back, especially if De Ligt is fit, who we signed to be a
Mm-hmm.
starting centre back. So, you know, the Maguire mob, put your pitchforks down. I come in peace. This is just my opinion. I think that De Ligt should start. And I don't want to hear that he needs time to get bedded in and that he's not Euro. He's not an 18-year-old. He's a seasoned professional who's played for big clubs, Juve, Bayern, played for Ajax as well. So this is somebody who is hungry to redeem himself and get his career back on track. And I think for the first time in his career, this is actually an opportunity where there won't be a lot of pressure on him. Yes, there might be pressure from the media, and yes, there might be pressure from rivals, but as far as the global audience, he's not coming to Manchester United for a big transfer fee of 80 million euros like he did when he went from Ajax to Juventus. He's not coming for a big fee when he went from Juve to Bayern. He's coming to Manchester United where it feels more like a reset. It feels more like an opportunity for him to be a part of a rebuild rather than coming into a team where he's expected to immediately win titles or go for a Champions League. Manchester United are nowhere near that. So I have high hopes for De Ligt because I think he's going to bring leadership to this team. I think he's going to bring, apart from his defensive abilities, he's got a good character and a good head on his shoulders, and he's hungry. He's looking for that opportunity to just really play well. So I would start him. Him and Zirkzee. They both need to be in that team because I think their energy, the rest of the team will feed off that. The team need players who bring that fresh mindset. Kind of like when Bruno first got here. Something changed when Bruno first got here. Didn't last very long, but something
Yes.
changed in that top four run under Oli because we weren't in the top four at all. Many people were saying we're going to finish outside the top four, and then Bruno arrived in January, and things changed just like that.
Hmm.
So I feel like De Ligt and Zirkzee could have a very similar effect as well as Mazraoui, just because they bring that. People always talk about a new manager bounce. I think we need to start using the term new signing bounce because I believe those three will bring that.
No, I agree. I think we signed players that have like proper mentality, and it's kind of like more leaders into the team, and I think it's important. 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
I do.
So yeah, those are the changes that I would make to the team. Everything else I would
Okay.
keep the same. So yeah, I believe in that game we didn't play with the striker, so it was Mount. Either Mount or Bruno has to get dropped, and I would drop Mount. I don't know about the Mount signing, man. I don't know about that signing. I tried, I really tried to be, neutral about it and be like, you know what, guys, maybe he's good at pressing, he's good at all of this. I don't know. It's not looking good, Brev, for that Mount signing.
No,
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I never really wanted Mount, but once again, I have like there's no agendas from me. I still am like I mentioned, I'm completely fine with players proving me wrong. I still just
Yeah.
as of yet not been proven wrong by a Mount. I'm giving him the season, but after the season, Broski gotta go. The fact we still gave him
Yeah.
that number 7 shirt, that pains me. This is my
Yeah.
number 7.
I mean, that was crazy. That was crazy, man. We gave him the number 7 shirt and we paid 60 million for a player who had a year left on his contract. Gave him this big announcement. To be fair to him, he was injured for most of the season, but still, it makes the signing look that much worse. So Mount is a symbol of the old regime, and I hope that he can change that
Mm,
perception, and I hope that he can really, like you said, prove us wrong. But there's a part of
Mm-hmm.
me as a fan that really struggles to get behind Mason Mount because I look at him with the number 7 shirts, the high wages, the
Mm-hmm.
big transfer fee, relatively big. It's not that big, but for a player with a year left on his contract, it's pretty big. I
Mm-hmm.
look at that and I just think Glazenomics written all over it. So he's one of those players similar to Maguire, where I'm just I can't ignore the price tag and I can't ignore the poor business we did on him, unless he goes on to play well and earns my trust as a fan. So until that point comes for me, Mount, I don't want to see him anywhere near the starting 11. Um, and I don't think he was terrible against Fulham. Let me just put that out there. But again, I just, I don't think I would ever pick him over Bruno at the moment. So he's got to be the sacrificial lamb for the game against Brighton, and from here on out.
No, I agree. I think bring the Zirkzee in. You keep I don't want to really see Bruno as a false like Bruno getting that number 10 role,
Yeah,
and respectfully Mount, you go out when we need you. The last 15 minutes, you come in, help us out.
yeah.
That's it.
Would you start Rashford ahead of Garnacho?
The thing is, though, Ganacho has been wonderful coming off from the bench, adding a little bit. The thing
Yeah,
with Ganacho, when he comes off from the bench, he tends to do very well, you know.
yeah,
But with
yeah,
Rashford, I feel like something's a bit off with Rashford. It just, where is the
yeah,
joy? It seems like
yeah,
the joy that he had playing football is no longer there, which is sad to see. I don't know, maybe I'm over analyzing things, but it looks to be, at least before, when he first, even like 2 seasons ago when he had his best ever season, he played with
yeah,
such joy. I think that's the only way I can
yeah.
put it. You know?
I mean, our fans used to talk about how Martial looked like he wasn't enjoying himself at United and
Hmm.
he had poor body language and all of this stuff. And I feel a lot of those sentiments, but about Rashford. I finally get where those fans were coming from because I'm seeing it now with Rashford.
Hmm.
I don't think Rashford is lazy or this or any of this
No,
nonsense, but I
none of
think
them.
that there is a lot of truth to the idea that he doesn't seem very happy at the moment, and something is clearly bothering him. And I don't know if it was the
Yeah.
stress fracture injury under Solskjaer. I don't know if it's something personal. I don't know what it is, but something about him just doesn't seem right. He hasn't been in his
Mm.
groove for a very, very long time. And part of that probably has to do with some of the social media stuff because we've seen him with the blacked out Twitter logo and some of the tweets talking about how hard it is with the abuse that he receives online and all of that stuff. Also missing the penalties in the Euros, that couldn't have helped. So there's been a lot that's
Mm-mm.
happened with Rashford
Yeah.
that could be a contributing factor. But I think you're right. I think just based off of feelings and vibes, like when I watch him, he just doesn't seem very happy at the moment, and that's the only reason I ask. Would you start Garnacho over him? Because I think you're right. Garnacho is a cheat code against tired legs, and he should be coming off the bench anyways. Because I don't think Garnacho is at the stage where he's ready to be a guaranteed starter. But there's this Rashford guy who's just not delivering, and I can't help but wonder, can Garnacho be much worse in a 90-minute game of football? Because when they were starting together last season, there was many games where I thought they were both not great, but Garnacho was definitely better than Rashford, you know.
Agreed.
And yeah, I just wonder sometimes, and I really, really, really don't want to be the guy who hates on Rashford and stuff because I used to back him. I used to really love Marcus Rashford, but I don't
Hmm.
know. Something's changed over the last 18 months, and he's just not the same. He's just not the same anymore.
He's not the same. I agree with you. I mean, I will not have like a big issue or anything if Ganacho ends up starting. The thing is, though, I don't know, I think he probably would be still starting Rashford, you know?
Yeah,
And I really want Rashford to cook. Rashi, please. I'm willing to give you one more season. Because I was done with him after last season, but then I was like, you know, the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'll give you one more. One more. I
yeah,
refuse to believe that yours that there's isn't a good player there. You still there, Rashi, but you have to show up for yourself and for the team. So we have to wait and see. But the thing is, though, we can't continue try to shoehorn him into the team, and he keeps on not really delivering. You know,
Yeah.
because at some point you have to
Yeah.
be like, you know what, enough is enough. You guys stay on the bench for a little bit. I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
I think also my problem with Rashford is like when he wants to prove his doubters wrong and his haters wrong, that's when you get the best version of Rashford because there is a bit of a purple patch. But my problem with Rashford is once he gets to the point where he's scoring goals and stuff like that, it seems like the willingness and the drive to continue. Actually, it's not the drive to continue because Marcus Rashford is a very driven person, so it's not really an issue with drive or motivation. But his ability to stay within his groove is just not there. And I just feel like with Marcus Rashford, if we're being honest, he's just not the player that we thought he was going to be. You know, I remember when Rashford was getting compared to Mbappe and he was getting world class shouts. You know, he's never going to be that player anymore, at least in my opinion. But that doesn't mean he's trash. That doesn't mean I'm going to start calling him Trashford and abusing him and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. What it means to me is that I still, like you said, I still think there's a good player there. But I'm not going to lie, my patience is worn thin as a fan. You know, for me personally, this has to be his last major opportunity to be like a guaranteed starter. From there on out, it's got to be like, okay, now you've got to prove yourself again. You know, and by proving yourself, it doesn't mean just having one season where you score loads of goals. No, you've got to consistently show that, you know, because that's Rashford's issue. He has these purple patches where he's playing really well, he's on top of the mountain, but can you stay on the mountain? You know, he seems to have a real big problem with staying on the mountain. You know, he's great when people are on his back and he's got a chip on his shoulder, but the problem is if you're always trying to prove people wrong, when you eventually do prove them wrong, now what? It's like you need something bigger than that to keep you going, you know, because, you know, those people are just going to come back, you know, and keep talking anyways. Yeah.
No, I 100% hear you.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes with Rashford 100%. But it might be, I mean, Roger says here, big up to you, says no, let Ganacho play, deserves to play at that left wing. He might deserve it. The thing is, though, will he? That's another story. I think he still
Yeah.
will
Ten
probably
Hag
go
loves
with the
Rashford.
Rashford. He really
Yeah.
does. And I mean, if there's going to be a Ganacho coming in, then it will automatically be Ahmed getting
Yeah.
subbed off. That's kind of what he's been doing.
Yeah.
So, and Ahmad has been playing well. And I mean, it wasn't like whoa against Fulham, but at least throughout the preseason, we still need to see a bit more. But I think there's a player there with
Yeah.
Ahmad. I really like him, and there's something with, like I mentioned, Ganacho coming off from the bench being like a proper impact sub against tired legs. I don't see an issue
Mm.
with that. But if he does start against Brighton, I won't have a problem with that either. But then I think it should be Rashford getting subbed off, not having a Ahmad getting dropped to the bench, in my opinion. But you know,
Yeah. I agree.
mm,
I agree. And I think one thing that's not worked in Rashford's favor is the fact that he does seem to be a little bit untouchable sometimes.
yep,
And there's games where everyone, you know, even the biggest Rashford fans can see that he's just having a bad game and dude plays 90 minutes, you know, that's never going to work in your favor. And at that point, it's not the player's fault. At that point, it's the manager's fault. The manager has to have the guts to say, okay, I'm hooking you. You know, you're my ace. You're the ace up my sleeve, but you're not working at this point in time. We'll try you in another game. And Ten Hag just doesn't. He either doesn't seem to have that courage, or he is just naive and genuinely believes Rashford is the superstar. You know, and I hope it's the former. I mean, yeah, I hope it's the former, not the latter. I hope that he just is loyal to Rashford, just for his own reasons, other than the fact that he thinks this guy's world class, because he isn't, man. He isn't, and I don't take any pride in saying that, but it's just the truth, man, So it's sad to
mm,
see Ahmed get hooked. And you know what? He wasn't amazing against Fulham, but he brings us such a different dimension and brings balance to that team. I feel with Amad Diallo, you're getting a player there who is indirect. He's not like Rashford or Garnacho. He's somebody who doesn't want the ball into space. He wants the ball at his feet, and he, instead of trying to take players on, he would rather draw players out of position so that he can give it to someone else. He's very willing to use the players around him. But in addition to that, he also has this amazing dribbling ability. Like when Albert is in the zone, he can be deceivingly good at dribbling. I saw him get off a shot against
Yep.
Fulham, where he dribbled, he into tight space and got past a couple of players, and I was just really shocked because you don't see Ahmad do that very often, and that's what makes him so good, is that he's multifaceted. He's not like Rashford or Garnacho, who tend to be a little bit one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the thing with Ahmed. You have to kind of appreciate him as a player, in order to understand what he brings to the team. Otherwise, you'll never get it, because he's not the guy who gets the assist or the goal 9 times out of 10. And so it's very hard to quantify what he brings to the team if you don't watch him and see how he opens up space for other people. So Rashford might even have a really good season if he starts next to Zirkzee and Ahmad. He might have a really good season actually with those two playing next to him. So
I hope we can see it this Saturday. That would be great if we can see a front three of a Zirkzee, Rashi, and Ahmed. I want to see it. Let's just
because
see.
you have those two. Yeah, those two dropping deep, and then Rashford just having space in behind to run. If Brighton play a high line and play really aggressive and they don't respect us because they're at home, that could really work into our favor. Especially if we're just going to sit back and we're not going to press up, that could work into our favor. Just play Rashford as an outlet and then play either Zirkzee or Ahmad, or both of them ideally, and have Garnacho off the bench. That could work.
No, I agree 100%. There's some conflicted people saying, I mean, especially Raja definitely is like, nah.
I hear it, but Ten Hag won't do it. That's the thing, So I stopped, saying that Rashford should get dropped a long time ago, because I just feel like Ten Hag won't do it. So, there's no point in me yelling every week like, oh, drop him. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. But I agree. I won't say Rashford's never been consistent, but I would say over the last maybe few seasons, he definitely hasn't been consistent at all. In fact, I think he's only had 2 really genuinely good seasons. The other seasons, it's always been a purple patch, There's a lot of seasons where people who are big fans of Rashford say it was a good season, but if you actually go back and watch those games, there was a lot of games where Rashford played poorly. So it was just a purple patch or blip that made the season as a whole look good. But if you actually remember it and you're not biased about it and you actually are honest, there's a lot of seasons where Rashford actually wasn't as good as the numbers make him seem to be,
No. Yeah, if you really look at it, they will tell a proper story. 100%. I agree. Big up to Terrence Tips. Before we wrap up, this show lasted way longer, but we've had a great conversation. So big up to Marcus, aka Triple M. Subscribe to his channel. Link is, or basically his channel is in the title, but also in the description box. So make sure you do subscribe and show him some love. But I would like to hear your prediction for the game.
My prediction for the game, I think I'm reasonably confident United walking away with something. I don't think we'll get slapped by Brighton. We could lose, but I just don't think we'll get slapped. So I'm going to go with the 2-1 win.
Same. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's a safe prediction.
2-0. Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll score, but we'll score more.
Yeah.
Do you have any goal scorers?
Okay. Oof, that's tough. Because even though I've spent the last hour bashing Rashford, I have a funny feeling that this could actually be a decent season for him. I really do, and I don't know where it comes from, because like I said, it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself right now, but I just have a funny old feeling that with Zirkzee in the team and Amad Diallo in the team, if they start regularly, this could be a big season for Rashford. So assuming Zirkzee and Ahmad start, which they might not, I think Rashford will be one of the goal scorers. And I think the other goal scorer, I'm going to go with Zirkzee.
Ooh, Zirkzee back to back. I think, you know what?
Yeah.
It, might, it could be. I think Zirkzee will score again. Whether it'll be a Rashford, I don't know. I think it could be a Bruno or maybe even a Ganacho. Because
Mm.
Ganacho, he'd be getting his numbers up as well. So,
Yeah.
but we have to
But
wait and
I do
see.
agree with the last comment that it will be this comment. I agree with that.
Yep.
I don't think we'll play well and dominate against Brighton. I think we'll get a very scrappy late win, you know.
Yeah, I think this one will be more of that scrappy win that people were, talking to uh, the Fulham game to be, which it wasn't. This one, I think, will be more of a scrappy win. Hey, Tommy says 3-2 United. Damn,
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be the case. But if, oh, wow. Imagine that. Us scoring 3 goals, but still it's that goal difference. Can we just have like a nice 3-0 win game? Can that happen? I think that's been a while. But regardless, Terrence says sometimes new players score in the first game and then don't score again for ages. I think Welbeck will score. Welbeck might score. He might. He did score against Everton, so he might do it again. But yeah, and then this question, final question from Tolumba earlier. Predictions on where we might finish in the league position wise.
I'm not gonna lie. Before a ball was kicked, I was very, very pessimistic about United's chances this season.
Mm-hmm.
But game week 1 Kool-Aid has got me. I'm drinking a bit of the Kool-Aid, and I've also seen a lot of other people put Man United, even rivals put Man United in the top one. That's the big thing, because when United fans are doing it, it's like, okay, you guys are just got the red tinted glasses on. But a lot of people seem to genuinely think that United have a chance this season. I'm not sure because of our midfield, so I'm still gonna say we're not gonna make top 4, but I'm not gonna go as low as I initially did. I'm gonna say 5th, which is an improvement on last season, and actually might get us Champions League football because of the coefficients and stuff. But I don't know, man. If we don't address that midfield, I can't with a straight face sit here and say we're gonna make top 4, because I worry, man. I worry about that midfield, and last season is still fresh in my mind, even with that FA Cup win. So I'm gonna go 5th for now. If we get Ugarte over the line
Okay.
and sign another midfielder, then that might change. That opinion is very subject to change.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Great answer. Yeah. You have to,
Yeah.
of course, like
My
you said, a
my
lot
you
of
know
it
my
has to
initial
do with the transfers. Go ahead.
yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I was gonna say my
No,
initial
no.
prediction was gonna be 7th. So 5th is an
Oh, wow.
improvement. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I did not
that is a
believe.
big.
I did not believe, but that Fulham game
Okay.
has kind of changed some opinions for me.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like Tolumba said, honest answer, not Giddy FC. That's an honest answer. And we respect
yeah.
it 100%. But Marcus, this has been a great show. I had a blast. Thank you so much. You had a wonderful debut. Conversation was flowing, lovely, like very great, different perspectives, and I thought you did very well. So thank you for joining in, and big up to you, people. Subscribe once again. I can't say it enough, but subscribe to Triple M. Handle is in the title, but also in the description. So make sure you do subscribe. What do you have coming up next on your channel, Triple M? Anything?
It is a bit hard for me to do live streams because of
Mm-hmm.
internet speed. So live streams are off the
Mm.
table, but I am hopefully going to make some match reactions for the next game week,
Yeah.
because my channel is basically that. I just kind of react to transfer news and do match reactions of the games. A lot of my recent videos were the Euros, so I kind of didn't really cover any of the last game week just due to personal commitments. But this weekend, I'll definitely have a bit of free time, and I've actually been waiting for the Ugarte announcement to drop. Here we go for Ugarte, so I can actually talk about that and make a video
Yes.
about United. And yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on like some interesting transfers in Europe. So I don't want my channel to be focused on Man United. I do actually want to
Yeah.
talk about European football in general, not just the
Okay.
Premier League, but Serie A, La
Yes.
Liga and stuff like that. But it's going to be very
Yeah.
difficult to watch all those different leagues this season because of my personal commitments. So I'm going to have to
Yeah.
spread myself very thin. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it starts with this weekend, man. I'm going to try my best to make as much content as possible.
Come on now, big up. Now people really enjoyed you, so yeah, big up. You did very well. So just
Thank you.
keep up the great work. People support his channel. Seriously, he's doing great things. So show him some love. But yeah, guys, I will be back tomorrow to do a FPL type of video. We might do it a little bit earlier than what I anticipated, but we will be live tomorrow to talk about how your girl is doing in her own league because I'm doing very bad. And you guys need to help me out to fix out my team because it's not looking good at all. But yeah, big up everybody that's been here. Great interaction. I love it, people. And subscribe to the channel. Like, of course, join the SFT membership. Another way to support the channel. Join the FBL League if you want to get the chance to win a shirt of your choice. And I'll be back tomorrow. And we're out. Bye bye. Peace, people.